This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Released August 26th, 2018. Episode 404. Proof of Blink.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
Guess who's back?
You're back.
Back again.
Welcome
Sorry,
back.
I won't sing.
Sing? Yeah, no singing. No singing from
Eminem.
Dave.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, yeah. How you doing?
I'm okay.
If I sound crap today, it's because I sound crap today. Yep.
Yeah, you got the usual kiddo sickness.
Yep.
But I'm sure we'll...
And I have changed mics, so yeah. That's
Oh,
another
yeah,
thing.
right.
So
Yeah,
that
new-
adds up.
Yes. Yeah, you'll sound different if nothing else.
I sound different. I'm using the mic I use for recording my videos instead of my studio mic. So suck it up.
It's a brand new day for Dave. Yeah, brand new
It
day.
is. You've got some big. Speaking of brand new days, you've got some big news.
I do.
Tell us.
I am once again a independent consultant.
AKA unemployed bum.
Hey, I resemble
That's
that.
a bit Yes, you've you no longer work at what's the name? What was that
Hologram.
company?
Yep,
Hologram.
Hologram.
That's the one. Yeah, one of
Yeah.
those startup-y things.
Yeah. So the story there was, let's see. Basically, I had said I was going to join that company to work on hardware and meet software people. And it wasn't huge news, but a couple weeks ago, I guess back in May, they had announced that they're going to stop doing some of the hardware development. And so some of the things changed. And honestly, overall, all the decisions they were making at the management level, I kind of agreed with. So it made sense for the business, but didn't really make sense for me. And still friends over there with a lot of the people. But I wanted to do more design stuff, and that was not needed. So I decided to step away, and still might do some content stuff. But yeah, I'm.
Oh, right. So you might do some consulting.
Yeah,
work for
like
Okay,
some
right.
articles, the usual song and dance
This
type of
sounds
stuff.
precisely like Altium. It's like I was in the hardware group, and it's like, even though I'm in the hardware group, this is my job. I'm going, this hardware group really shouldn't exist. This company should focus on software. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. So,
you
yeah, I
go.
mean, like I said, still friends with everybody over there, and I think they're doing
Cool.
good stuff. It's just decided to move on. So now I am on my own, and so I've been, picking up a couple contracts here and there. Analog Life LLC is my jam. If people may remember my thing, and doing some design stuff, doing some design reviews, and back into the consultant lifestyle, and it's weird, man.
But not analog stuff, right? Because you've been doing LED lighting stuff. You're trying to muscle in on Mike's action.
Oh, I did. Yeah, that's true. I did an installation. That's actually an interesting. It's an interesting point.
light installation. This is you're totally muscling in on our former guest.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I'm a threat to Mike Harrison or anyone in that industry.
Right.
But yeah, so I did an installation, and I actually didn't mean to bring that up when it was going on, because the hard thing about that is not the electronics.
No,
I didn't. You say it like this is this thing. I didn't know. Like, I thought it was going to be like, oh, well, you have to make sure your design is rugged, and write the firmware and get all the stuff out, and
you're
get
such
the,
a noob. Such a noob.
I mean, you know what I was going to say about it, though. Like, you didn't give me this advice when we talked about it offline the first time, so I'm just saying.
Didn't I? Really?
I don't think so.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me what it was. I don't think you told me what it was. You just sent me the photos. Hey, look at this nifty light installation I did. And I went, and then you went, it was, guess what all the problems were? And I went, it was nothing to do with the electronics. It was the installation, right? And the mechanicals, right?
That is, yeah.
And
maybe I didn't give enough of the background, yeah. But it was, holy moly, yeah, so this is like a big physical thing, and so I was like up on a ladder soldering things with my wired soldering iron, and it's you know, and it was a lot of blinky, like LED strip type stuff. So that stuff's all pretty easy, you know, the WS2812 type of LEDs. So it was more about, you know, having enough wiring, having enough copper in line, you know, checking out the voltage drops.
Yeah, power. It's just, it's power, distribution, and physical build. Yeah. That's, you know.
Yeah. It's, and, you know, so and the reason I know I didn't muscle in on Mike is I called Mike up before I even took on the job. And I was like, I wasn't asking for permission, but I was asking for advice, you know, and he gave really good advice. He was, you know, he said, you know, things that he said on the show here before, but it was basically, you know, make sure you plan for everything, you know, and that's good consulting advice in general. But I think that, you know, we've heard him talk about his installing the Heathrow Airport thing. You know, he just had backup plans on backup plans on backup plans, and that was at the design level versus just the day of installation. And
that could, at the design level, that could be something like, oh, at least I can get half the LEDs working, you know, even if like the other half don't because of whatever happens, you know, at least it kind of does something, you know, rather than nothing.
Right, and things like having these tests built in, right? And you've talked about this a lot in your PCB videos in general, right?
Systems.
Just built-in test systems is super critical because how do you know it is that segment of the design, right? It's like, well, if you have a test button or a test plugin or a test whatever, then you can easily diagnose it, and then you say, oh, it's definitely this, instead of, you know, getting out the DMM, which I, of course, was doing, getting out the DMM and trying to, like, shove it behind these different, you know, physical obstructions that are in the way and trying to figure out, like, oh, well, voltage looks good, now let's check out the signal and blah, 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 blah. So, So yeah, lots of things that I definitely learned my lesson on that stuff. And I'm sure I'll make these mistakes again. You know, I thought about the Burning Man's coming up. I was thinking about the Burning Man people and the, you know, like all of their crazy projects out in the desert. That's adding other implications.
So let me guess, he's quit his job and he's going to hang out at Burning Man.
Who, me?
Living the dream. Yep. Come on.
No.
Living the dream.
I am not an outdoors kid.
No.
Definitely not a desert kid. I actually did spend time in the desert in the past couple weeks, and no, that's not for me. I'm more of an air conditioned kid, you know, like
right.
So yeah, no, it's that was I mean, it was a good learning experience. That's really what I wanted to do with that one. Definitely. You know, and then it just ran right into the consulting concerns of like, well, I quoted X number of hours and it was 2.5X those number of hours and it was a fixed bid. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm getting my feet under myself while I try and figure out quoting and figure out, you know, client management, what you bill for, what you don't bill for, actually accounting and billing and all that other crap too. And it's just,
so how did it actually come out in the wash? Did you end up... you know, if you put in like 2.5 times the estimated hours, did you end up on time or did you end up just earning your hourly rate because it took 2.5 times longer?
I made way less than I thought I would.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, my hourly rate was reduced by 2.5x. Yeah.
Oh, your hourly rate was reduced by 2.5.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't pad the job enough. You know, like just the usual beginner mistake type things.
But you did pad the job by some amount, say 2 times, and you were still 2.5 times under?
I padded it. Yeah, I padded it a little bit, but like the thing that I didn't understand was the install day, right? Like that was, so like that's something I've never done before. It was like you know, I've been used to like handing over design, but there's never been a design where it's like, oh, and by the way, you have to come in like hanging on a wall, you know what I mean? Like, that's a big that's a big difference, and that's where a lot of the actual hands-on, like, think on your feet, have a lot of, and honestly, this is what Mike told me about too. It was just like when you hit the real world and you have the job site and you have to actually install things, a lot of things can go wrong, and so that's really where you want to do that. So if I have notes.
Well, if you've had somebody over to do something in your house, some handyman or something, you know, it's like, oh, I've got to go to Bunnings, like I've got to go to the hardware store, right, and 2 trips to the hardware store later because they didn't have the thing that they didn't anticipate needing that, you know, and
yeah, definitely,
very common.
Yep. So let's see, things that I've learned. Here's what I learned. Install days need to be part of the quote, obviously. I didn't have an installation plan, so that was another big one. And so like order of operations and stuff like that. So I had someone actually painting while I was trying to get things soldered in place, and so like everything was wet with paint. You know what I mean? Like it was like, oh god, like so that should have been done. So basically, it was like the finished work was being done while the install work was being done. It was like that. prefabbing cables. That should have been more obvious, but just did not have enough time.
You don't want to be doing those on site. Oh, goodness. But then again, but you really have to plan that because you have to know exactly how long the cables have to be. So you'd have to do like a scouting trip out there to figure out, like
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I had not seen the job site before I showed up. I had not understood how the actual so I just wasn't early enough in the design process, and that's really something I would do in the future as well. And the project manager too, like she agreed on all these things. It was just kind of like a last minute. I got thrown at the last minute, so. Another thing was like the actual this had never actually been assembled all the way before getting to the site, and so like the thing I said was like, well, no, it was like an 8 foot by 8 foot like installation, so sizable enough that it didn't fit in a car, so we had to actually take it down. What I would have done if I could have done it again is actually made the whole thing, made it in place at our assembly site, and then deconstructed it in a more cogent way, and then transported it, right? So it's all
right.
So just like a lot of things that I'm learning. And this was the group I was working with. This was their first electronics project. They were this great install company, but they're all just art pieces, and so it was kind of like learning on both sides. And then the last one would be buy knee pads. I'm no spring chicken here, Dave. And I was on the ground soldering, and then I was like, all over knee pads. For real. Got some bony knees. Yeah. So lots of really good learnings on that stuff. So
cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
And it didn't scare you off consulting?
No, I don't think so. I think it's like that was any of the money I didn't expect to get rich off of that project. I was doing it for the learning, and I think that I have some runway on learning stuff, hoping not to get burned over and over again. But
so would you take on those like big build jobs again, or would you go, oh, bugger this, I just want to design PCBs or something?
So if it was the exact same style of project again, and I think that's the real thing, is like if it was completely different again, I would probably give it second thought. If it was the exact same thing again, then I would. I've obviously encountered a lot of the same challenges,
of course,
and then maybe I would make exactly a PCB to actually standardize it so that it could be sold over and over again. I would I was using off-the-shelf stuff, but I'd probably grab something different off the shelf. I found some other stuff after the fact. So
got it.
And I think it's a different work, right? Yeah, I mean, like this was a lot of integration work and almost software work because it was, getting LEDs to do interesting things. And I think, I'm definitely more interested in the hardware side of things. So
got it.
But from all those perspectives, I was interested in trying this stuff out. So yeah, I probably would.
Excellent.
But well definitely, hoping to do more hardware stuff, and already
round of applause for Mr. Gamble.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So, in the meantime, though, I've been doing other consulting work. I mean, you've been a consultant before, right?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like? What didn't you like about it?
No, it's not great. I told you, it's just like, I hate the pressure, and I hate the, the things going wrong, and having to eat the hours because it's a fixed price job or whatever. And just and changing requirements on their end. I know you go, oh, you get it all in the contract and everything, but still, they go, oh, look, it's just a little change, and you don't want to be a dick,
right,
and go, well, let's rewrite the contract, because you changed, you added an op amp here, like.
I think that I think it's like it's a lot of managing of expectations. I mean, I've already started doing some of this stuff, but the expectations, and then also the, like you're saying, like spelling out the work. There's just a lot of overhead of like, oh well, do you need to rewrite everything? Well, sometimes you do. If you don't want to get burned, and it's almost just like everybody's kind of protecting themselves, so it's not as like open, right? And the other thing I'm thinking about is like it's a lot more snap judgment things instead of deep analysis. Not deep analysis, but more like when you're on the clock, then you might be like, all right, this is done, instead of like cogitating on your brain. Like if you have a full day to think about it and just kind of mull through it while you're doing other things for that same client, then that would be a better scenario, I think. But already I made a judgment on something. I said, hey, here's what we should be doing. And then I went back and revised it. And again, like you're saying, I'm never going to charge for going back. I'm not going to get charged for being like, well, this is something I revised.
This is my fault, right?
Right,
It's
exactly,
or
exactly.
it's something like that. Yeah,
Right, and so it's
Yep.
just about that like client management stuff, and
Yeah, like things like if a microcontroller development tool has bugs or screws up
Yeah,
or whatever,
right.
and you have to spend like a couple of days solving that problem before you can actually progress, then you've got to eat that. Right? That's not, you can't go to the client and say, hey, my development tool I'm using, has this bug and I can't get over it. I've got to solve this problem. You can't go to them and say, they'll just go, well, that's your problem.
Right. Right. I think you're right. That there's less. Everything kind of has to be accounted for in terms of hours and things you're doing. And I think that maybe some of that stuff would fall on the client if it was like if it was a larger scale project. But assuming like you did a fixed bid like you're talking about, then if you're charging $5,000 to get something done, and the more hours it takes, the less you make per hour, kind of thing. So
Yep.
So yeah, you got to kind of hope everything goes right.
Yep.
So I'd love to hear, perspectives on this stuff. I'm interested in bringing on guests that are doing consulting stuff, just because I'm obviously experiencing this new world. I have friends that I've been talking to about a lot of this stuff and trying to figure out the best practices. But maybe there's others out there that are interested in talking about it or hearing about it. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. So please let me know. If people are looking for someone who does consulting, I'd love to talk, but I'm getting kind of full up already. So don't want to promise that I can do anything. I mean, more just I'm always open to chat. And my email is chris@theamphour.com is the easiest way to get a hold of me. So that's if people want to talk. If not, that's okay. Keep me in mind for the future. Yeah.
So you're not even considering 9 to 5 jobs again?
Not right now. No. I mean, ever again? I mean, that's kind of a long timeline, Dave. I'm in mid-30s,
Yep. For me, it's nope. I'm not going back to working 9
for
to
you.
5.
Sorry, yeah, I hate to tell you, you're unemployable at this point. In the best of ways, Dave. You're
No, I'm not. I actually get plenty of job offers.
Too unique, Dave. You get plenty of job offers, really?
Yeah, I get plenty of job offers. Of course I do. When you're a high-profile person.
What kind of stuff do you get offers for?
Lots of oddball companies.
Like marketing stuff,
things
though,
like
or
that.
design stuff?
No. Actually, design stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and startups and things like that. Hey,
now this
come
is
and work
something
for us,
I did want to bring up is that I've already talked to a couple. I've already reached out to one person who's like, "Hey, I need some help on this design." I'm like, "Yeah, that's great. I do that kind of thing." They're like, "Well, we're thinking, we're willing to give up equity for you to work on this thing." Oh, thank you. What an honor that you will not pay me. Oh,
what an honor that you won't pay me. Yeah.
So I will say I
love it.
I'm for exceptional cases I'm considering some equity,
Right.
but cash is kind of more the and I'm sure that you've gotten that a lot in the past though, right? And this is just kind of the startup thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
I've just
Is there ever a case when you would actually be interested?
Yes, there is. If it's something that I personally know about, and have experience in and really like, then yes, I could potentially do that.
Blockchain.
Blockchain, yeah.
Dave.
If you got a new blockchain startup.
Dave, it's
What?
the future.
Of course it is. I'm surprised your LED lighting installation didn't have blockchain.
Right. It's the proof of blink. It's called proof of blink.
Proof of blink. Oh, that's got to go on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Proof of blink.
Yeah.
Love it.
I don't know. And I think that there are. I mean, I've been talking.
We have to call this episode proof of blink.
I think you're right.
Yep.
I think that there are some things I would be interested in as well, but spaces that I'm interested in in general are from a money perspective, definitely like industrial things or connectivity when it saves money or reduces jobs or all those things, because they're just things that are easy to sell. And at the end of the day, in this very short amount of time that I've been doing this, and I'm sure this will change over time, is just when you start focusing on money, like the whole conversation changes, right? I mean, you need to get your product out there, you need to make money on it. Hopefully you're making money on a recurring basis. And from a startup perspective, a lot of them, especially a lot of the software startups, are like, yeah, well, we'll figure out a business plan eventually. It's like, that's not how hardware works.
Right.
I gotta pay for parts, man. Those caps ain't getting any cheaper. That's for damn sure.
That being said, though, like that, I would potentially consider something like that. It wouldn't be like a full-time thing. It's like, hey, come to work with us full-time, because then I'd have to give up the blog, right? Basically, right? And that's just not going to happen. I'm not giving that up for anything. Right. So if I was to join, some sort of startup, it'd be in like a consulting advisory type role, maybe like a promo type role. Hey, I'm putting my name towards this, and I can, market it to my audience or something like that.
Sure.
Yep. As like a step up into the market, kind of thing.
Yep.
So.
And I think that's why I wouldn't be considering a company right now either. It's just because, like, the same thing, like I like doing the Amp Hour with you. I like doing the course. I like making videos, and sometimes that stuff kind of is a mishmash together. And people, they're like, if they want me to come teach electronics, that kind of might be a conflict of interest with my stuff. So
of course.
Yep. So,
and I like maintaining my name in the industry.
Sure.
Like, I think I've been working, 9 years on this or something, building up. Well, no, I've been doing it since I was first published.
Sure. I think EEV blog versus just David L. Jones, right?
Yeah, right. So I've had a public presence for nearing 30 years now, is it? Yeah, something like that, right? I've had a public presence before the internet. This newfangled internet stuff, and and I don't want to give that. I don't want to fade into obscurity. I think that'd be a shame. For me to just go vanish and work full time and nobody hears from me again. Everyone goes, oh well, where's Dave? Oh no, he's off and working some thing.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah, and and so like I've been reaching out to a lot of people who are consultants and I've been looking for advice, and like I said, I'm happy to hear more advice from people in the comments section or chat, whatever. And it seems like one of the hard things, especially because I still work at M-Hub, which is here in Chicago, and I talk to a lot of people there too. And I ask, well, what is the hard thing? And some of it is the expectations of clients and things like that. But the other one is just sourcing new clients, and a lot of them are word of mouth and things like that. And I've never, like I said, I'm not begging for a job here in the Amp Hour, but I think that being able to reach some ears and that helps me at least. And a lot of I think the other problem is that a lot of the people that I talk to who are consultants don't have time to go and like do promotional stuff, right? To do the, hey, look at this work that I've done. Here's what I've done. Here's how I operate, and hopefully a little bit of at least hearing me talk about electronics over the years has people believing that I can do it. So it is kind of that hump of, and like, so like for you, right? Obviously I've seen a lot of your work. I know how you work. And that's not just from talking to you and listening to you. It's seeing you do design over the years, right? That's why you are
even
getting
though
jobs.
I haven't done much. It's not like,
no, but
it's not like I do much at all, but
no, but I mean, you're showing your capabilities, right? That's a lot of what it is.
Exactly. I'm showing my knowledge in the field and that kind of stuff.
And so when I was talking to people at M-Hub, I was like, that's one of the things that is lacking for a lot of people in the space is that I know that there's a lot of, so like, for example, there's a lot of mechanical designers at M-Hub, but it's hard for me to like look at them and be like, oh, that's Bobby. I know what his work is because I've seen his portfolio, or even just having pictures of his work hanging up around his desk, right? That's promotional too, right? So some of the people there, they actually do have their 3D models out on their desk, and that is a great way to showcase. It's like, hey, look, this is my design work. Here, like, check out the curves, check out the complex curves on these things. Like, this is the kind of thing I can do. That's great promotion for mechanical work, I think.
For sure.
So, and some of it's going to be like, well, can Bobby take that thing all the way through to production? I don't know. I got to go talk to his. I got to talk to his references. I got to see his other work, see his past, his resume and things. And but I think the first thing is making sure that he has those things on his desk, so I can be like, oh,
of course, that's the first part.
It looks good.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So and I think it's just then striking that balance of like, how much time do you do prospecting versus how much time do you actually do the work, and you can't do just one of each, or one more than the other. So lots of learning for me coming up, Dave. I'm gonna be bugging the crap out of you about this stuff.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Yep. Well,
yeah.
good luck.
Thank you. I'm I've had a lot of time to sit with it, and I'm not feeling as bad as I started out feeling about it. Like I was very nervous at the beginning, but I'm feeling better than I did. And talking to other friends, it does go through swings, so I'm prepared for the downside. I do have a document as well about when I'm stressed about things I should be doing. Maybe that's a
Oh, really?
yeah. You want to hear some of them? I have it up here.
Yeah,
I
sure.
have lots of documents, Dave.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm kind of more of a wing it kind of guy.
I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have. Here we go. Write about how I'm feeling. Journaling is very important. Talk to my girlfriend. Learn something new. Publish something. Go for a walk. Meditate. Go through contacts. Reach out to people we haven't talked to. I think that's a big one. That's one that I don't do enough. And I think that's, just like check in with old coworkers.
I don't do that at all. I am not a social person.
I mean, you were sort of a social person. You did a live stream that we'll talk about here in a bit. I mean, you socialize with your audience. I think that's important.
Oh, yeah, I guess, but...
Moving on, read a book. Ponder the nature of the universe and how massive it is, and how not much really matters after all. That one's a little dark. Think of ways to make a difference.
Nihilism, yeah.
Mentor younger engineers. Ask for advice from more experienced engineers. Answer forum posts. Listen to music. Play some music. Post a funny tweet about electronics. Post a business idea to Twitter. Do a live stream. Create a silly piece of PCB art. Ask Twitter what they want to learn right now. People may notice I did that a couple weeks ago when I was really stressed. Plan a new course. Do some push-ups. Drink a big glass of water. These are all...
Jeez, I think you've created yourself another problem. You don't know which one to choose.
I mean, any of the...
When you're
you can do all these
I'm
things.
stressed, let's go to the list.
Yeah,
do you...
right.
Like, do you have like a random number generator and it just
right.
like...
That's the first project I have to make is the de-stressor Magic 8 Ball. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I think these are good, just mental health things. I think go for a walk, man. I did that one when I used to live in Cleveland. That was a big one. I would just head out with the dog and just kind of think through problems. Man, that really changes a lot of.
Right.
And I still don't do that enough. So my new desk, I have sunlight at my new desk at M-Hub.
Yep.
So excited about that.
And you're moving as well. No, you're moving too, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I am moving. I'm moving apartments to a smaller place to save some money.
Because he's now destitute.
Yes,
and
that's
unemployed.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's called right sizing, Dave. It's called right sizing.
Right sizing. Okay.
But I will not have a lab anymore in my apartment.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Like, I assume that you're moving everything in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your own little space in M-Hub? It's like, this is Chris Gammel's. Do you rent a cubicle in there? Or what?
Yeah. So I didn't before, but I just signed up for one. So it's like a shared desk.
Oh, okay.
And so it's next to.
Oh, shared? You don't want any of that shared
No,
rubbish.
no,
But then
So,
again, you are
it's-
unemployed and destitute.
Oh, man,
so.
you're not gonna let that go, are you? Bastard. It's
What a friend's for.
good-natured ribbing. Yes. Yeah. So I'm gonna move my. All my test gear is gonna be over there. I'm a little worried about that, honestly. I don't know. Maybe I need to
Someone's just going to steal your scope. Well, what you need to do is you need to do the old
Write
thing
my name
of,
inside it?
No. What you do is you put a big red sticker on it saying, Magic Smoke Escaped or faulty or something like that, and then nobody's going to borrow it.
Okay. Yeah.
Nobody will borrow your scope if it has a big red faulty tag attached to it.
Got it. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Works a treat.
I'm definitely doing that one. Okay. Not in calibration, does not work, like those kind of things.
Yeah, like out of cow,
Right.
like out of cow, broken, doesn't work, smoke, bang, went bang,
I did get
Something like
a
that.
live bees sticker at DEF CON. I can put that on there too. Like there's live bees living inside the scope or something.
No one's going to fall for that.
But if I implement a buzzing system, I'm just saying. Yeah, that's silly, but that's actually really good advice. Yeah, I could tell you've worked in a shared workspace before, huh?
Well, it's any lab is a shared workspace.
Yeah.
But it's going, this is my scope, and you don't want people
Right,
to borrow it.
yep.
You turn your back for a second, and your $30,000 scope's gone.
Yeah. Well, this will be on my desk, and so yeah, there will be security cameras on it and stuff. But I'm
Doesn't
sure
matter,
that won't
people
stop people
still-
from even honestly people asking to borrow it. That's always usually good natured, but it doesn't come back for a week and a half, or when you
Exactly.
really need it, like it's like having a car, right? You could do car share at any day of the week, right? And be like, oh, I always have a car. But if you're trying to get out of town when everybody else is trying to get out of town, you're screwed.
Exactly.
Owning a car is about having the ability to get out of town whenever you need to, and
That's it.
yeah. So same thing for scopes. Scopes are like cars, especially some cost as much as cars. So yeah.
Eddie. Did you hear about the new 110 gig scope
No.
from Keysight?
Oh no.
Oh,
Is this the one?
geez,
Is this the one you reviewed?
so much for
the
Mr.
7000? Or is
No.
what was?
No, this thing is like, I don't know, there's probably 2 of them in the world or something.
Okay. What is it?
No, I can't remember the model number, but anyway, go and search for 110 gig Keysight oscilloscope.
Damn.
And so I can't remember the series or model number, but yeah, it is like, and it uses a new indium phosphide front end. Don't quote me on that or something. Anyway, it is true 110 gig bandwidth with, I think, 250 gig sample per second
256.
sampling.
Yeah. It is the
real time on all channels.
UXR
None of this-
1102A
Yep.
Infinium UXR series. Holy crap, this thing looks expensive.
Why didn't I remember this?
I know,
and if you compare it with like the next previous best, which is the one that Sharia
Yeah.
did, he did a tour of the Roden Schwartz.
Yep.
Was it Roden Schwartz? No, LaCroix, was it?
I don't
think it
remember
was-
I just
yeah.
remember him doing like a really high speed one.
Anyway, yeah, and so he went to the LaCroix factory and they showed how they designed this, I think it was 80 gig or something, scope, but it used like oversampling. It wasn't a real time, it wasn't actually a real bandwidth thing, like they use various techniques. Whereas this Keysight one is actually, no, analog goes in,
It's crazy.
it samples at 250 gig and it's got a true analog bandwidth of 110 gig.
Hey,
It's
if you
just-
get if you,
and it's
Dave,
10-bit.
if you get one of these, can I borrow?
Yeah,
can I borrow it?
no, I'm not going to go. No, because it'll have a big foldy red tag on it.
Man, how the hell do they
110 gig.
calibrate these things? Like
Just just don't ask.
it looks like a boat anchor too. This thing is monstrous.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
it's like that's got to be like a 3U rack or something. I don't even know how big that thing is.
It's anyway.
Yeah.
It's freaking amazing. And there's photos of the inside of the actual sampling converter and stuff like
yeah?
that, and the boards and stuff like that. It's posted on the forum.
Okay, all right.
It's really, yeah. Like I actually tweeted it. I tweeted and said this technology came from like Area 51.
Yeah, right.
Like it was like alien technology.
Yep.
It's insane.
Oh wow. What
yeah.
do you use this for? Who would use this?
Oh, for research companies, other people doing RF, they can do direct RF sampling. That's the thing with it.
Okay.
You can, if you're working on a 50 gig transmitter or something, a 50 gig ultra high frequency
Got it.
transmitter, you can like sample this shit in real time. You can check out the modulation, you can do the demodulation, and you can do it all in the scope.
Got it.
Like in real time. It's
That's
freaking incredible.
Crazy.
So there's probably more customers for this than you think.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're saying
it's-
just because
it's
like
probably-
the transmitters that are like inside FPGAs and things like that for high speed serial, like those kind of
And
things.
it'd be high speed serial, but it's even beyond that because all the high speed serial. Although they're doing what's the highest speed differential stuff they're doing these days? Is it 30 gig or something?
I don't know.
Differential transceivers.
I don't know.
Or something?
I should state too. I don't do super high speed stuff
Yeah.
yet. So
Anyway, I like the highest I've ever done is 8.
okay.
I think
yeah.
8.
Yeah,
gig.
I think I've done 6 gig on some of those Certas.
Yeah. Yep.
Older ones.
Yeah. Anyway, it was they will like it's not just that. Yes, you can use it for that, and that's one of the things. But you can get a cheaper scope to do that. Is what I'm saying. If that's all you want to do.
Right. Yep.
This is like really direct sampling
Got it.
RF stuff, and demodulation, and all the advanced, quadraphonic modulation. I'm using a term that's totally inappropriate there, just for comedic effect.
Got it. So what was the thing I saw
And-
that you were going? You did a spectrum analyzer teardown recently.
No, that was old footage. I just rehashed it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I just took it out of an old video and sort of cut it,
Got it.
together
Okay.
and added a few extra things.
Okay.
Yes. That was a Siglent spectrum analyzer.
Got it.
That was just a 3 gig bandwidth one. I was just showing block by block.
Yeah,
how
no, I
Spectrum
like
Analyzer
that
worked.
though. Like that's,
Yeah.
I mean, because again, like you're talking about, like looking at the inside of a fancy scope like that, it looks like alien technology. I mean, like a lot of these
Right.
spectrum analyzers too. Like there's just it's a lot of the block diagrams, but when you look at the filters, it's like why did they do this?
And like some of it in principle is not trivial. It's just like, it's a transmission line and there's a mixer. You might think a 50 gig or 100 gig mixer where it mixes the signals and, down samples and down converts. You might think that's ridiculously complex. No, it's 4 diodes, right?
Yeah.
But it's the magic of how they actually get the
It's
4
not the four
diodes to where
it's how you arrange them. Yeah.
it's how you arrange them. That's it.
Right.
To work at 100 gig,
Yeah.
It's insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just, anyway, nuts. That's just, wow.
Well, speaking
Very
of
impressed.
arranging things, you've been trying to arrange a PCB. That was a bad segue.
Arrange it.
But you've been doing KiCad or
I
KiCad.
thought you were going to do the meetup. I thought you were going to do
well,
meetup that I'm having.
I was going to bring that up too, but so maybe we should do that first. Dave,
I am arranging
Dave, are
a
you doing
meetup.
another meetup?
I'm doing another meetup after the electronics show on Wednesday, September 5th, I think it is.
Okay, nice.
Go to meetup.com and search for EEV blog and you'll find it.
Nice. And this is at the same place when we did the meetup when I was in town.
No, it's not,
No?
because the electronics show has moved to Rose Hill Racecourse, which is out near where I am, out in the
Oh, I thought I saw
suburbs.
the actual meetup thing. I must have been looking at an old one. I thought it was the same location.
Right.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
no, different location.
Cool.
So, yep.
Sydneyites.
I think I've got 50 people signed up already. That doesn't include like just random forum people who'll turn up.
Nice.
So yeah. So that reminds me, after this I have to go book the venue.
Yeah, you should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on the subject of meetups, I think I mentioned it a week ago or 2 weeks ago, but we'll be doing a meetup here in Chicago for around IMTS. So Bolt will be in town. There's
What's IMTS?
International Machining Technology Show. It's like Jurassic Park
Obviously.
for robots. It's
Right.
amazing. So it's this huge trade show center here in Chicago, and like all of the big machining companies show up, and I'm very excited. So yeah, I think I mentioned that one, and then
Why are you excited about a machinery show? Just because you like robots?
just because the scale of it, yeah. And there's just robots
Right.
everywhere. It's I went 2 years. It's only every other year, and I went 2 years
Uh-huh.
ago, and it's just like
Yep.
it's like a playground. It's great.
Yep.
So yeah,
Cool.
so we'll have a couple meetups around that too. So I will post about it later. Cool. Okay, so you're doing a meetup. That's great. Are you showing it electronics or no?
I've invited people to bring stuff.
No. Sorry, you've
don't
had
know
a
if I'll
booth at
bring-
electronics in the past, haven't you?
Oh yes, no. They offered me a booth again this year, but I said no, thanks, but no
Okay,
thanks.
You'd rather go. chat
It's
with people.
just too hard.
Yeah.
It's just like you got to stand on the booth all day. You got to set
What do
it
you mean
up.
you can make
gotta take
David
it
do
down.
that? And you got an employee, man.
Nah, it's just nah. Nah, it's not the same because people will come by the booth and go, "Where's Dave?" Geez, that's disappointing. I'd rather not.
They'd be talking to Dave, just a different Dave,
Right? Okay. Oh, I could put my cardboard cutout back there.
Right? You could
I
add
have my cardboard
audio. You
cutout.
could add an audio player this time, so you'd have like catchphrases.
Right? Yeah. Right. I can have a chat bot.
Maybe
I can have.
Maybe
like
you should
a,
just do
like,
that anyways, and just like leave it in various places around the conference.
See if I can pass the Turing
There you
test.
go. Bingo.
Right.
I mean, trade shows are kind of boring, so that's anything you can do to spice it up. That sounds like fun to me.
Right. Yep.
That'd be good.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So speaking of arranging circuits, then now to get back to my bad segue, you've been playing with KiCad 5 before I have even.
Oh, really? You haven't used it?
I have used it, just nowhere publicly.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, it's not like I used it in depth. I just used it on a live stream.
You used it again though, Dave. This is like so like
I used it again,
every
yes.
it used
Well,
to be every 2 years you would try it out, and now it's been like I think only a year since you did it last
Well,
time.
granted, I was just finishing off the shit I didn't finish off last time.
Whatever
that was
works.
basically
Whatever
it.
works.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are in my 1 hour edited video I just uploaded last night.
I know.
No, it's it's nice. but there's a few little things in there that, you know, would annoy me as a professional. If I was using it professionally, would annoy me. And I haven't even gone, you know, I haven't even done anything big in it. Right, I'm just doing like real
You were
simple
changing
shit.
other people's stuff and adding stuff.
I was just loading in an existing
Yeah.
design and just changing it from 2-layer to 4-layer,
Right.
and just
right.
just bumming around.
Yep.
Basically.
And I think that's the thing. Like, you need to have. I always talk to people about it, and it's like about
Yep.
you need to have a project to learn on, specifically to learn on. And it sounds like this is your project for that kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's really important. I think that, you know, something small is better than something, you know, like you're doing something that's already existing and it has a certain size. So, you know, you get what you get for that. But I always tell people it's like have like one small thing you want to do first, you know, a breakout board or whatever, just to get started, just to get used to the keystrokes. I was watching and may have interrupted your
Yes, you
your
did.
live
You
stream
came
yesterday.
into the live chat. That's all right.
But I think the other thing too is that like you have very specific expectations. It's just from watching it this morning as well.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I'm a former professional full-time PCB
Right,
designer.
right.
I mean, you know, I think and expect things to work a certain way, you know. And that's I found that in the comments. Like a lot of people didn't seem to understand it from a professional design point of view. They just said, "Oh, just do this work around here, just do that," you know. And it's like, no, that's beside the point.
Well, yeah, there's
You know,
I agree with that. That is beside the point.
Yeah.
But I think some of it too is like you have expectations on that's of exactly how it's done in other programs, but you've done more than one program too. So it's like
Yes.
it's almost like you have this formulation of convention in your head, and when it's outside,
That's
that,
right.
it's like
Sort
oh,
of an
well.
industry convention.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind
Yep.
of. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I always tell people have an open mind. You are going to be learning a new like so like I've gone and you know I've used Altium before, and I was telling you last night like the for me it's like you know it's a similar kind of experience of like learning these new systems is always a struggle because you have to you know
of
fumble
course.
around. I gave a workshop at DEF CON around the around KiCad, and like one thing was seeing people not use two hands on the keyboard. Or like using one hand on the keyboard for hotkeys and one hand on the mouse for actually like manipulating things in space. You know, it's
That's me.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
so
What's wrong with that?
that is the least efficient way to do KiCad at least.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like
right.
it's just like these
Okay,
these like
right.
setups that it's like well,
I haven't used it enough to learn that.
yeah, right. So like once
yeah,
people
right.
get used to it and they're like, oh, okay, now if I use my left hand for well, I guess depending left or right, you know, using my main hand for mouse manipulation and then my other hand for keyboard manipulation.
Oh, so you're saying that's the correct way to do it? Mouse in one hand, keyboard.
Yeah, I always tell
in the
people
other
it's
hand.
like
Oh,
playing
okay,
PC
right.
video games, you know, like so.
Right.
You know.
No, that's how I do it. It's not like I have both. No, I don't have both hands on the keyboard.
Oh,
No, sorry.
not like that.
Okay.
Oh, right. No,
We had it back. We had it back. To
I
front.
got it.
Okay.
Yep. And you know, so it's tough. It's tough. To I did like I think I mentioned I did my workshop backwards, and that was good. But you know, I'm still kind of struggling on how to teach absolute beginners layout, and I think the answer is don't.
Right.
Teach them why they want to use circuits in the first place, and I think a lot of people didn't have quite that.
And then let the poor bastards figure it out.
I mean,
Is
some
that
of
what
it
you're
is
saying?
like I think that learning a lot. Like so, I've been doing some video editing on a new program recently, and it's like you just got to learn the quirks. You know, it's just like these heavy duty programs. I'm not apologizing for UI in any program. I think the more intuitive, the better.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I think the measure of a program is usually the community around it and like who's helping you out. You know. You can have the
Right.
most intuitive thing in the world, but if you can't find that one button to click just on that one-off chance,
Yeah, no, of
it's gonna
course.
like you
Yeah.
were talking about with the consulting things, right? It's gonna throw you off for 3 days, and you have to eat those
Yep.
hours. And so, I think the best thing
That's
to
it.
have is to have a wide audience of people that are trying lots of things, and being able to Google for a solution on the EEV blog forum, the KiCad forum, whatever, So, that's kind of how I judge software these days. So.
Anyway, I think it's a very capable program, and if you asked me to do a huge professional board on it, I probably could.
Yeah, I think so
right?
too. Yep.
It might not necessarily be efficient, but I think it's certainly capable.
Yeah, and I think your
Of doing
second board
that.
would be faster than your first. Your third board would be faster.
Yeah,
than
of
your
course.
Second,
Yeah.
all that stuff, and that's
Yeah.
just getting used to any software program. So,
Of course.
yeah, and I think that a lot of people that are like learning new software like that, they're also learning the underlying skill, not just the quirks of the software, right? You already have the underlying skill of, you know how to make PCBs, you know how to, you know how things should be designed. It's just like learning the mechanics of that specific software.
It's learning the mechanics of the tool. Yeah.
So, that makes it fast. I think that makes it a faster thing in the end. Yeah. So
definitely.
Yeah. So my plan is to make some new. I got to make some new videos now. I got to make some 5.0 videos. Right. It hasn't changed a ton.
Well, I'm thinking I might make some KiCad videos too. Like I might take. Like I'm not going to design something from scratch, but I might. If anyone knows, please hit me up with it. If anyone knows of like a really complex board out there that's open source, that's done in KiCad,
I can tell you right
that
now.
I can like load in. Oh,
yeah, the Olimex 64. Yeah. They did like a laptop design. So Olimex does
the Olimex.
Olimex does all of their products in KiCad. The Olinozino. I'll send you.
Is this the A60? Oh, yes, the A64 Olinuxino. Yeah. Okay, right, and they've got the PCB files on there. Do they? Oh, that's fantastic.
It's an all-winner A64, right? So.
Oh, right.
I think you may have mentioned this on one. So, like, Olimex does all their stuff KiCad. That's why I know about them.
Right.
And this is like a, embedded Linux board. Some of the new, another Michael Welling is redid some of the. I think he redid the. So I know Jason Kreidner, who we've had on the show before from the BeagleBone project, did the original Pocket Beagle and Eagle, but I think Michael converted it because Michael also was the one who did the larger version of the Pocket Beagle, the one that fits into the mini Altoid stand. I may have gotten those orders wrong, but I know Michael does a lot of KiCad stuff as well, so some of the Beagle stuff is now available in KiCad.
Right.
And another big thing is all of the...
Yep, there it is, KiCad PCB files.
Yeah.
Yep, I've got them.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks.
All of the... so the Eagle import to KiCad is now in 5 is like solid. So you can pull in libraries and you can pull in...
Nice.
A lot of the projects I think on Eagle are still pretty... there are some fancier products out there.
I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. Eagle is going to die out in the hobbyist market. People are going to switch to KiCad.
I think maybe in the hobbyist market. I think they're moving up market, to be honest. I think they're, I think their team has done a really good job of, adding new features. But I think you're right. I think they are moving up market.
Who? Eagle or
Eagle?
KiCad?
Yeah, Eagle.
Yes. Eagle are moving up market, and it's like, I think, I think people are going to be slowly moving over towards KiCad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
So
I don't know where that leaves Eagle, but
I think it's competing more for the high end market type stuff. I think they're going to start nibbling at the heels of the Altiums of the world and the.
Well, Altium are moving up, so that's another thing.
Wait, how far up do they go? Where are they moving towards?
Oh, they've got their new Nexus. What is it, Nexus thing? They're now competing with like Mental Graphics.
Oh, okay. So you're saying like fancier and fancier. You're saying okay.
Yeah, in fact, their share price just jumped 32% yesterday.
Oh.
Because they released new figures and stuff that look, we're getting customers away from Mental Graphics now. We're shooting. We are going to be number one.
Right, and I think that everyone. Yeah, if I had to guess who's in the biggest trouble, it's probably the people at the top end, right? Because they can do is kind of protect what they have. There's not like a lot of green field there.
Yeah, no, they've been doing that for a decade now.
So.
They've 15 years they've been trying to just cling on to their top end.
And I think they at the end of the day, everybody makes good tools. They all the quirks,
they still make money from their ASIC tools and stuff like that, right? But which will Altium's never going to get into, right? They have no plans to get into. But look,
that's a hard market to break into.
Well, they're fools if they do.
That's
right. They're
one.
Absolute fools, right? So you're better off just dominating the PCB space. Right, and that's their plan. Whereas the other companies are going, look, they might eventually. They're not going to abandon it, but they're just going to go, well, look, Altium's won.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's not a huge space overall. I think there's room for movement within it, and it's the whole market's growing, but
it's still an expensive expensive program. You know, it's like 10 grand, 8 grand or something.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And the problem is that like they really goofed up the lower end, right? They goofed up the Circuit Maker. Circuit Maker's basically gone. Circuit Maker's now becoming what's the company they bought, the online one?
Upverter.
Sorry?
Upverter.
Upverter, yes. It's basically an Altium. The Circuit Maker is no longer going to exist as Circuit Maker. It's going to be rebranded as Upverter Desktop, right? So it's basically gone. And then Circuit Studio, they've been having issues with that. And, you know, I think we exposed the other day, a couple of episodes back, didn't we?
Yeah, we've been talking about this.
They deliberately slow it down. They've goofed it up, and they don't support it properly, and it's kind of in this mid-range price category, and it's like, you know, and it's not compatible. Like, it's, you know, the files aren't compatible with Altium Designer. It's just like they've just like screwed it up pretty much. They really could have dominated the low, the mid, and the high end, and they just I think they're just going to be a higher end tool only now, unless it doesn't mean they can't turn things around, but yeah, they claim to have a lot of penetration with Circuit Studio, but nah, I think that's bull. Not buying it, sorry. So yeah, and I can really see KiCad taking over in that space, or perhaps Eagle if you want a paid package.
Yep.
You know, because there's an advantage to paid package. You have someone to yell at.
Yes, I agree.
When you find a bug, you know, or something doesn't work, right? You know, you can pick up the phone and scream at someone.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe CERN takes any complaints.
Right, you don't think there's some hotline there? There's some red bat phone there.
There's a forum for KiCad you can go yell on, but you know I don't know if they suffer.
Right, yeah.
People,
but it's basically just everyone just yelling into the void.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Oh man. Yep.
Anyway, yeah. So I do want to do more with it. So
great.
Yep.
Well, you know I'm a fan, so that's great, man. Welcome to the club.
Yep. Cool.
I'm excited. What is this? So you had another video about the traps and chips. What is that one?
Traps in chips. Yeah. That's about how I found this chip and I thought it was a good example. I can't remember the 7662. Don't quote me on that. LM7662.
Well, at least in the label, it's 7660.
Oh, so no. Well, the 7660 is the Jelly Bean generic one that's been around for 40 years, right? That's the Jelly Bean inverter / voltage double apart for anything up to, you know, tens of milliamps. Yeah. That's been around forever, and there's tons of variants of this, of which this Linear-Tech part was, right? And Linear-Tech are TI now.
Rest in peace. No, it's ADI. ADI,
whatever.
Yeah. I know. There's Chip Company 1 and Chip Company 2, and sadly, there's only 2 left.
Exactly. Anyway. Yes, and where was I? So lots of variants of this chip exist that they have for decades now, right? Because the 7660 is only good for, you know, certain things. If you want higher current and, you know, lower noise and, you know, all sorts of higher efficiency, all sorts of other stuff, then, you know, all these variants exist. Anyway, this particular variant has different modes, right? So at low currents, it goes into a pulse skipping mode, right? Just like you know, many DC to DC converted chips do, right? Yep. At low current. So it sort of like keeps the efficiency up at low current, right? So that's why they can get like a high efficiency right across the whole, you know, output load band, right? And the problem with that is when it switches to that low, when it switches modes like that, the output ripple goes up like 5 times, right? Yeah. And that's a lot, right?
Right. You're basing it on like some noise 10%. Level, and then you're like, oh boy, what just happened here?
Yeah, exactly. Right. You've designed your product and you've tested it, and this chip gives you a ripple of 10 millivolts or something, or 100 millivolts, and you go happy with that. Right, that's good enough. I can, you know, that's fine. But then if your temperature changes or your output current changes slightly and you're right on the point where it suddenly goes from one mode to the other, bam, 500% increase in output ripple.
Yeah, that's not fun.
And no, that's going to ruin your day.
Yeah,
right. So yeah, like so your design through no fault of your own, it passed all your tests, but then all of a sudden it's used in a different temperature environment. Bam! If you happen to be drawing 40 milliamps and that's on the edge of where the thing switches modes, and it switches modes based on temperature, it's got different characteristic curves based on temperature. Right.
Yep.
So, if you didn't take that, if you didn't notice that during your design,
well, I think even worse if it was like going in and out of those zones. Then you also have like intermittent behavior. You'd be like, "What just happened here?"
Yeah. Like if your micro goes into sleep mode or goes into a different mode, or your output, you've got a
start transmitting
relay that
or
draws
something,
more current
right?
or something.
Yeah.
You do it. Yeah, exactly. And all of a sudden, like that's a massive increase in ripple, 500%. Right? That's enormous. So that could really screw you up.
So this is a jelly bean part. Are you still seeing these in a lot of designs, or how did you happen upon this?
Oh, we were looking at chips for the microcurrent and the micro supply for the new micro supply project.
Got it.
And we saw this chip and we're trying it out, and sure enough, boom, and it's and I just thought it was a nice example. That's all.
No,
there's nothing inherently wrong with the chip, right? It's a good chip,
well,
but you just have
like
to
how
be
you
aware
spec
that
it
it
in,
changes.
like where your operating range is.
Exactly.
No, it's a perfect example.
Exactly.
For that. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think so. You pinned the comment here too, and it was like someone said, "I don't work in the industry, and these gotchas aren't things like people that get to see, right?" So that's what someone said on your video.
Yeah,
and I agree with that, right?
Yep.
It's like this is one of those things where if you can, I mean. Like you were talking about. Wait, were we talking about that or someone else? Like you're never gonna feel. It was someone else I was talking to today. But you're never gonna feel the pain of hardware until you actually experience it, right?
Yes,
but if
exactly.
you even have a shot at reducing pain like this, where you'd have to respin a board, and if you can catch anything like this, you could save thousands and thousands of dollars. And
that's why I like to think videos like this are useful.
I think so too. Yeah.
Is because people go, "Ooh, and it sticks in their mind, and
Exactly.
maybe when they're designing something next time, they'll be aware of that. Oh, I wonder if it has some pulse mode. Does it change mode? I've got to be careful with my output ripple.
Yep.
I
think
stuff
this is
like that. So
this is why I kind of harp on this a lot too. Of like the graybeards and like the software industry get kind of like laughed out and pushed aside and all that other stuff, like because software things change so often. I think there was actually a talk that Bunny did at that camp I was at tour camp, and he was talking about this stuff too. He talked about like in the thing he likes a lot about electronics is you learn it once and it's kind of in your memory, right? In software, he was complaining. He was being the typical old guy up on stage. He's like, there's all these frameworks you have to relearn, and why is there always a new framework? I just want it to work for over time. It was great. It really, really great. Usual Bunny style, Bunny Huang.
Yep.
Great talk. I really, really recommend watching it. But this is also, in the software industry, I think a lot. Not that. I'm not trying to make too broad of a thing, but like the whole Mark Zuckerberg, young people that do all these magical things, and like in electronics at least, the reason the graybeards are so valuable is because they've seen so much crap. Like obviously,
that's the
grumpy
thing,
people
right?
like Dave bring along a lot of other issues, right? But it's the experience that really you just can't get past that. Like. How do you?
And the experience is always the stuff that went wrong.
Yeah, of course.
You're not going to be talking to some old greybeard and he's going to be talking about, I used this chip once and it just
it's
worked.
So great. It was so easy.
It just worked first go. No, they're not the stories you're going to
exactly.
hear. That's not valuable.
Right.
It's like if you build a kit, right?
Yeah.
And it works first go. You haven't learned anything. Wow, you've got some more experience in soldering. Good on ya.
Yeah.
Right? But no, it's if it doesn't work when you power it on, that's when you learn something.
Right. You don't actually hope for it, but it's the consolation prize that's actually worth something.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. No, that's good.
Love
I
it.
think these kind of things are good. And like you and I were talking about off air, it's not going to be the most popular videos, That's unfortunate, but
No,
but like
exactly.
this is a it's good to have these experiences. And this is another reason why I always tell, like people that I'm teaching is too. It's like, man, you can't read a data sheet close enough. You can't
that's it.
I can't really impart that wisdom. You only really read a data sheet at 2 a.m. when you're exhausted. You know what I mean? And then you find that one line. You're like, oh my god, what have I done?
We were playing this game, David and I were playing this game the other day, right? Where we're using STM ARM 32
God.
in the new
Yeah,
micro supply, right? Yeah, right.
That's a long data
And
sheet.
he was going, there's so many bugs in this data sheet. Look, I'll try and find one. Give me a minute, and I bet you I can find one. So he's going through the list of, like, registers and stuff like that, and he goes, yep, found one. This doesn't match the appendix over here. And he even went and found the document where they copied and pasted from, and they didn't change it. And that's where they made the mistake. And then he just kept going. Yeah, I found another one. I found nothing, like, and I just went, okay, stop
Yeah,
it.
please.
I get it.
I'm getting sad. I'm getting
Right.
sad.
Yeah. Because, like, these documents are like 300 pages long. They're massive,
I mean, if you're
right?
lucky
And
on a
they don't-
micro,
and
that's
they don't-
short.
yeah.
You know, like
I know.
yeah.
And they don't write these from scratch. They copy and paste them from the previous chip and then make the changes.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's
You
a
know,
bit of a callback.
It's not like
bit of a callback to the consulting world, right? You know, thinking about documentation. Every hour you spend documenting a chip that's already in the world, making you money, is a cost center, right? So it's like,
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying it's excusable, but I'm saying that, like, that is why, you know, documentation is revised over time instead of, like, fine tooth comb like it used to be, because there's just less
Right.
margin and less time to go over these things. Yeah. Not excusable, but it's a
Nuts.
reason.
Welcome to the world of electronics.
Yeah, right. It is. It's a hot mess.
Why the hell do we do it again?
You know, I was thinking about this. I really just like it, Dave. You know, I can't. It's stupid, right? Like, I mean, I was thinking about so, like, I was doing all the badge stuff, and you know, I think I mentioned on the last show with.
Oh, how did the badge go, by the way?
It did not work. I didn't get to firmware in time. So.
Oh, right. So you didn't make it. You
I
didn't sell it.
made a bunch. I just didn't. I mean,
right.
I made a bunch. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So I talked about that a little bit on the show with Mike Stitch last week.
So you've shown this publicly now?
Some of it, and then Mike published about it, so there's a picture of it at least. So it's an
okay.
ongoing project. For,
Can we talk about the name now?
fine, yes,
Can we
yes,
talk
it's out there.
about- come
It's out
on.
there. Fine, yes, it's fine.
Can we get other people's opinion?
Jeez, you just
Right,
all you
you
want to do.
called it-
All you want to do is say I'm right, you're wrong. That's all. I know that's all you want to do.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Of course
Here
I
we go.
do. That's it. Haven't you learned anything in the 8-9 years
yes,
we've been
I've
doing this show?
Definitely learned. That's the one thing I've
Right.
learned. Yes. Anyways, okay. So the
Anyway,
badge is called.
you originally showed
Yes.
me, right? A badge was original.
Well, let's start with what it's called now, so
Oh.
people could find it. It's called the
Okay.
Good Fear
Okay.
badge, right? So like the good year, but good fear, blah blah blah, black badge.
So it's shaped like a blimp,
Yes.
right? It's shaped like the good. So it's a play on words of the Goodyear
Right.
blimp.
And the foot in the logo
Right.
is turned to a skull, and it's got a wings, and I think it looks very nice for what it was. But
It does look very
Yes.
nice. I got to admit. But the name, I hate the name Good Fear.
only
And
because you heard the
will-
first name, though.
Only because I heard and saw the first design. The first design was called the Led
The
Zeppelin.
leaded Zeppelin.
Leaded Zeppelin.
lead-
The leaded Zeppelin. And it was, once again, the same shape. It's shaped like a blimp, right? Like a Zeppelin. And it was the leaded Zeppelin. And I thought that was
Right,
brilliant.
and it was
I
the
even
font
asked-
of Led Zeppelin, the band. Right?
Yep. And yes, exactly. And I even showed it to Mrs. EEV blog, and she went, yeah, that's way better than the Good Fear blimp.
Well,
Yeah, you changed it to the Good Fear
I
blimp.
did. Sorry, man. It was
Why?
it was an artistic choice. You know, it doesn't matter because it's not out there.
The leaded Zeppelin,
I
dude.
know.
You could go to a heavy metal concert and sell 10,000 of those.
I don't think you could. I think that's the thing that you are getting wrong from what I'm getting out of this is that it's an insider joke to me and you and other hardware people, but this is not the hardware crowd.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
yeah,
was
probably.
that was the whole
Okay,
reason.
yeah, fair
That
enough.
was you know you got to know your audience, and I think that the Good Fear blimp would have done better. It doesn't matter because it didn't get out there. The thing that did get out there.
The leaded Zeppelin.
Yes.
How could you think that's not going to resonate with our audience?
Oh, with our audience. Don't get me wrong.
Any with people in our industry.
So, like, if I could figure out how to make that into a T-shirt for our folks, I would totally do that. But I don't think that. It doesn't have any reference. Then you know what I mean. Like if it's an LED.
Can we put up photos of the leaded
Sure.
Zeppelin?
Yes.
Thank you. Yep. Because it's awesome.
Yes.
I
right.
love it.
Yeah. It was my art prototype. Yeah. That was.
Oh,
Yes.
what a shame.
Oh boy. Anyways,
Anyway, so you didn't finish the
didn't
firmware.
get to the firmware.
on time.
I'm still gonna work on it. I'm hoping you're gonna get it done by us.
I shouldn't laugh. I've got hardware
Oh,
prototypes that are sitting there. It's just hardware, and the firmware is just it blinked some lights,
Yeah.
and that's about it.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I did learn that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned it on the show. I think I mentioned it when Mike was on the show. But my main goal with that was to learn the Neoden, and I ended up making a video about the Neoden, which I'm editing right now.
Okay. So
pick and place.
task achieved,
yeah, I think
right,
I think
yeah.
that was good. I was hoping to get it out, but I'm hoping to have it done by
Right.
SuperCon, which is in November.
Cool.
And that should be good by then, hopefully. And yeah, I'll talk more about it then, or show it off, or show the other things that are buried in there. Yeah. I also want to mention I am I said I'm going to SuperCon. That's in November, the first weekend in November. I told Mike after last week that I would mention, or 2 weeks ago, people should apply to give a talk. I'm going to give a talk. Hopefully, I applied to give a talk at least.
Yep.
And I'm
About KiCad again?
no, that's different actually for me. The talk that I let me see if I can find it. So the talk title that I submitted was "Improve Your Circuit Toolbox: Simple designs that will save your next product." So basically, like current limiting circuits and like having an indicator LEDs and like basically just kind of bag of tricks
Right.
type of talk.
Got
A
it.
friend suggested
Cool.
that as a topic. I thought that was a really good topic,
Yeah.
actually.
No, it's good.
So might do some brainstorming with Dave on air at some point. I have a couple in mind, but there's always more.
Okay. Right. No worries.
Yeah. So the
We
one thing
got-
I did get out by the time of SuperCon and the workshop that I mentioned, I did make a shitty add-on, which I think I may have mentioned 2 weeks ago on the show, but that is basically my getting to Blinky, and I'm going to make that into another video series. So
Cool.
people are looking to learn KiCad or KiCad, and I always say, like that having that one simple circuit. I think a 555 circuit is still the best way to learn. It's very hardware centric. Yeah, that's it's kind of a different twist on that with a little bit of art.
Right.
So cool. All right, buddy. Anything else?
Sounds good.
Otherwise,
That's it. We didn't get through anything
I
on the
can't
list.
bill you for this hour, so I gotta go. I gotta do some work.
That's it. No, I'm going to be one of those pain in the ass people who,
Yep.
you did a contract right up front.
Right.
Nah, I'm sticking to the zero
I
contract price.
signed that contract 8 years ago, and I've been paying for it ever since.
Since.
It's been very lucrative. It's been a good time, buddy. Cool. All right. Well,
Cool.
we'll talk to you next week then.
Catch you next time.